Who is Anton Silayev? And right now, Locked On NHL is doing a mock draft and going through and selecting prospects all throughout the first round. And wouldn't you know it, Anton Silayev was the one that landed with the Minnesota Wilds and my selection at 13. So as we have been doing with these profiles, we will see what Scott Wheeler has to say. We'll see what the hockey writers have to say, and we will take a look at some of the statistics for Silayev over the years. First and foremost, Silayev right now as an 18-year-old is 6'7", 207 pounds as an 18-year-old. So for a Minnesota Wild team that is certainly lacking in the size department, Silayev checks that box in a big way. A big way. Looking at some of his statistics over the last couple of years, he played in the MHL, got 5 games on the Russia U16 team in 2021-2022. In 2022-2023, he played in the MHL with Chakya Nizhny Novgorod and had 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 total points in 41 games, including 2 points and 29 penalty minutes in 17 postseason games that season. Played with Torpedo Nizhny Novgorod in the KHL in 2023-2024, had 3 goals, 8 assists, 11 total points, 10 penalty minutes in 63 games there. Then played 5 postseason games with Torpedo, then played 10 postseason games with Chakya, and combined had 5 points in 15 games and 26 penalty minutes there. So obviously not as of right now, and all we have to go off of, for a lot of these statistics is goals and assists. Obviously not a big points guy, but pretty evident that that there's a lot of other things to like about what he brings to the table. So let's see what Scott Wheeler has to say. Silayev is a unicorn. Okay, I like that right off the bat. 6'7" defenseman who surprised some people with a hot start offensively in the KHL and rose to the top of the class, playing legitimate minutes for one of the KHL's better teams for most of the year, including the playoffs. An extremely rare feat for a 17-year-old. His 11 points in 63 games broke the league's under-18 scoring record. Vladimir Tarasenko had 10 points. Kirill Kaprizov and Evgeny Kuznetsov each had 8 at the same age. He played on the power play, consistently registered multiple shots per game, and even played both sides. Silayev is an excellent skater who walks the line with ease, drops back onto his heels comfortably, and pushes forward to either carry pucks up ice, close gaps, or disrupt a carrier with an active stick. Despite how prodigious his play has been, he looks like he's only scratching the surface of his true potential as well, and impressed again in the playoffs, though he didn't take over and produce in the MHL playoffs after his KHL season was done, quite like some were hoping he would. He's got more steps to take in his decision-making on the puck. Wheeler finds he's a little too trigger-happy. He actually shows good poise and comfort when he doesn't rush. His shot, which he gets off in volume and does a good job putting on target, but will definitely add power as he gets stronger and works on it. And his ability to really impose himself with size, which he really learned to do this year, leading Torpedo in hits. He has shown some soft skill for a big man. He's disruptive in zone defense and hard to beat off the rush because of his length, and there's plenty of room for continued growth and development within his game. Many scouts think he's the top D prospect in the draft. Wheeler is partial to Levshinov, but sees the appeal of Silayev and the projection some are making on him, though I don't think he has much offense, as some thought he might out of the gate this season, largely due to average smarts. His upside is obviously extremely high, though, especially if he can get stronger without losing his mobility and continue to develop his offensive game. I'm just not sure I'd bet on it in the top 5, which at points this season he would have. So things that I like to hear there, right off the bat, the size is hard to ignore, but the ability to do something other than simply be big and get in the way is extremely appealing too. The ability to skate into the zone, to just be able to handle the puck and to add a little something other than simply hitting whatever moves. I like that as an add-in to the size profile. So let's see what the hockey writers have to say as well. Logan Horn with this draft profile of Silayev, who is ranked amongst defensemen, second by Bob McKenzie, second by NHL Central Scouting, fifth by the Daily Faceoff, and sixth by a couple of other hockey writers. And then Horn has him second. So here's what Logan Horn has to say about Silayev. Anton Silayev is an excellent defensive defenseman who has been an absolute force in big minutes for his team in the KHL, Russia's best pro league this season, despite not turning 18 until April. He was relatively unknown before this season, but broke out in a big way in a full-time KHL spot this fall, immediately jumping into the first round and even the top 10 conversation. Silayev has played an important role at even strength and on the power play for Torpedo Novgorod this year, and that role has only grown throughout the season despite his production drying up a bit. He's not the most talented puck carrier, but he can make solid outlet passes after retrieving the puck in his own end and has a pretty accurate wrist shot from long range. Silayev will likely gain some strength as he grows into his massive frame, and that could go a long way in making his wrister and slap shot a good bit heavier. The good news is that his defensive play has continued to grow as well this year, with Silayev already looking like an imposing force on the back end due to his size, physicality, and remarkably smooth skating for someone of his size. He maintains good gaps during rush defense and a sense of timing for when to close out with a hit or a quick jab to get to knock the puck away from an opponent with his massive stick is impressive for a 17-year-old playing on a high-end pro league. His poise and work ethic are really positive traits as well, as he goes on the ice to work hard and try to win games. Silayev isn't the flashiest player and doesn't cheat for offense, instead trying to find the best possible play he can make without compromising any dangerous chances in the other direction. Silayev is an exceptional skater for his size and moves like an NHL caliber defenseman already. He can work his way across the offensive blue line with possession, shut down plays from disadvantages with his speed and his reach, and has shown some potential as a puck carrier through transition. Draft projection. Silayev is not going to last long on draft day. While Horn thinks it's a near lock that Macklin Celebrini will be the first overall pick, chances of Silayev going first are not zero. The size, pro experience, and sense of untapped potential could lead to a draft day shocker. Regardless, Horn thinks Silayev is almost certainly going to land in the top 5, with a top 3 spot seeming pretty likely. And just looking at some of the strengths that Horn lists: skating, size, defensive timing, and physicality. Areas that can be improved: more strength in his shot, and can rush a bit when taking charge on offense. NHL potential. Anton Silayev looks like he's got a good chance to be a number 1 defender in the NHL who kills penalties and plays a shutdown role at even strength. Picture Chris Tanev, but with more offense and about 5 extra inches of height. That said, it feels like Silayev has the potential to be a special offensive player. If he can add that dimension to his game, then he can be a potential superstar in the NHL, more on the level of someone like Victor Hedman. Folks, it's the size and the ability to skate that does it for me, and not just taking somebody just strictly for the size. Like, could you imagine getting a player the size of Zdeno Chara that can throw that weight around, but then can also be a number 1 defenseman for you, or can pair up with, like, the thing that I imagine in just even thinking about drafting Silayev is pairing him with Brock Faber. and putting those two on a pairing together so that it frees Faber up to really focus on the offensive side of things. And if anybody, is if anybody's trying to do anything out there, Silayev can just plant them squarely into the glass. I'm really intrigued by what Silayev brings to the table. If we were looking at, my favorite picks of this first round, Silayev's got to be up there near the top, which is why I took him in the Locked On mock draft, which we will talk about once that has finished. We'll go through and look at who is left and just kind of talk it out throughout the course of the first round. But there's a look at Anton Silayev, the unicorn size that brings a ton of intrigue to the table as well.